Are you filming? What's up, little gangsters? We're in the forest of this. We're not in that forest.
All right, so I was in Las Vegas recently, trying to get wasted, eat a bunch of food, fuck a bunch of books. While I was there, as you guys know, if you had ever stepped a foot into Vegas, gambling is everywhere. You can't go anywhere without seeing a sign promoting spending your money on the off chance of getting hella rich. So it got me curious. So for the next couple of days, I researched a lot about this industry. And let's just say, yikes. So gambling itself is as old as the word old, and actually much older. There's a lot of evidence suggesting that gambling existed since ancient times, especially with the Romans, as they were famous for their gladiatorial battles in which you could bet money on. This also included many other types of gambling vehicles, such as early forms of roulette and craps. Yeah, it's spelled C-R-A-P-S, so basically it means a bunch of shits. Much later in 1638 Venice, the first legal casino was opened called Il Ridotto. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Don't cancel me, Italy. I'm sorry, I love pizza and Mario. Okay, yeah, that. Which offered music, entertainment, food, and drinks, and of course, gambling. But it was later closed down by complaints from the church at the time, which deemed gambling as a sinful act. So yeah, gambling has been around for a while, and it seems like more than ever, gambling has become a staple in both the world and American culture. The gambling industry in the US is worth billions, and just in 2021 alone, made $53 billion, breaking the previous record back in 2019. Which also signals that gambling in America is still growing. This is especially the case with new forms of gambling on the rise, like the mobile gambling apps, where you can waste away thousands of dollars at your fingertips. But the majority of this growth still remains in the hands of in-person gambling sites, like how Las Vegas had a revenue of $7 billion in 2021, and the state itself, Nevada, recording $13.4 billion in gambling revenue that same year. And with that good old tax revenue these states are getting from the gambling business, there's no signs of it stopping. But where is all this money coming from? Because it definitely isn't coming from the fees and commission. The majority of this revenue is being generated by your losses. And these gambling sites have a pretty cheeky way of making sure you lose in the long run. And not only that, keep you coming back so that you can continue to lose to them and give them all your money. Okay, so there's something called house edge, which pretty much every casino implements, unless they want to lose money. It's basically a concept in which in any game you play at these casinos, no matter how random you think the results are, the casino actually always have a statistical edge in the game. Which means in the long run, they would always make a profit, and you would most likely make a loss. At first, you may not notice the edge much, but the more you gamble at these places, the more you'll realize how significant the house advantage really is as it continues to make a dent into your wallet. The higher the house edge is, the higher the statistical advantage the casinos have on the game. Here's a chart displaying the house edge on various casino games. As you can see from this chart, the games we have less control of have a higher house edge because the casinos have much more control over rigging it. Like slot machine games, I would totally avoid those. They would just eat up your money. Because the casinos have full control of those machines, the probability of you making profit on the long term on those is quite fucking low. And don't get me started on something like roulette. While games involving some skills like card games has a much lower house edge, and if you really get good at it, you can actually create an instance where you have the advantage on the casinos. But that's the thing. Once the casino figures out that you know what you're doing, they'll just go ahead and kick you out because they want to maintain their environment of ignorance among their patrons. The thing about casinos is that they won't make the probability of you losing so one-sided that you'll just give up and leave out of frustration. Instead, they'll flash hope on a string, and every time you get close enough to touch it, they'll pull it further away, causing you to chase. They actually want you to win. Sometimes. So that you can get that sweet, sweet rush of dopamine. Because that is how they get you addicted. That is how they get you to come back. And in the long run, it will be paying dividends for their business. Because let's be honest, you're probably not going to stop after being up on the day and getting that sweet hit of feel-good chemicals. You're going to want to test your luck further and continue to gamble until you're discouraged from doing so, most likely by a huge loss. Like the prawn industry, the gambling industry feeds on the high you get from doing the act, which can obviously be quite addicting and result in compulsive gambling. According to the North American Foundation for Gambling Addiction Help, they report that approximately 2.6% of Americans have a gambling issue. which is roughly 10 million people. And according to earthweb.com, 85% of Americans have gambled at least once in their life, which actually could be much higher because the data may be excluding minors under 18. Because if I'm being honest, I've done my fair share of Vietnamese coca nu back in the day. If you know, you know. So I live in America. Where in America? That I'm not gonna tell you. But in America, gambling here is quite a controversial topic. And the state here pretty much chooses whether or not they allow certain types of gambling acts within their state. This chart here on Let's Gamble USA pretty much shows what gambling vehicles are allowed in each state. And as you guys can see from this chart, pretty much the most conservative state in regards to gambling I see is Hawaii. I guess you can't gamble at all in Hawaii. I was thinking Alaska or Georgia, but yeah, you can't gamble at all Hawaii. I guess Hawaiians gotta use that VPN. Gotta use that VPN, right? And Utah. Okay, I can see it in Utah, all those Mormons. Oh no, I'm not your dad. Unless you want me to be. I can't tell you what to do with your own money. I just want you guys to be aware of this information so that you guys can make your own choices on the matter. Just in my perspective, out of all the years I've been to Las Vegas or Atlantic City on vacation with my family, I don't recall one instance where my parents came out at the end of the trip net positive on their returns from gambling. Obviously, they're not professionals at gambling whatsoever, but they represent the normal consumer that would be going to these casinos. I'm just saying, be cautious out there, man. For the past couple months, I've been noticing like live streamers and YouTubers promote this gambling site called Roulette. And I'm just like, I heard they do offer that bag. There's definitely a bag in it. But I'm like, that's still tough. Wait. Now that I look back at the chart, I just realized that there is a game with a house edge as high as 40% called Keno. Damn, that's probably why I haven't heard about it before. Who the fuck in their right mind would be playing a game where you lose 90% of the time?